The first time my daughter-in-law told me I wasn't going on the cruise, she didn't even look up from her phone. "No money, stay home," she said like she was talking to a dog. I smiled, wiped my hands on the dish towel and said, "Sure, honey, no problem." Inside, my chest burned. I had dreamed about that cruise more than anyone in this house. I was the one who kept the brochure on the fridge. I was the one who watched those YouTube videos of the ship at night, glowing like a floating city. But according to her, I was too expensive to bring along. Her name is Tasha. She's pretty, smart, and mean in a quiet way. My son Marcus acts like she hung the moon. I watched him that evening, sitting at the table, scrolling through the cruise app on his tablet. "Babe, look," he said to her. "They have a steakhouse on board. We should book the chef's table." "Do it," she said. "We saved money by not dragging your mom with us." My hands tightened around the dish I was washing. I almost dropped it. I swallowed the lump in my throat and kept my voice calm. "You two will have a great time," I said. "I'll enjoy some quiet here at home." Tasha didn't even answer. Marcus gave me a weak smile. He knew it was wrong. He just didn't care enough to fight. They think I'm old and slow. What they don't remember is that I was the one who raised Marcus alone, working 2 jobs and still making his birthdays look like little miracles. Back then, if he wanted something, he got it, even if I went without. I never told him how many nights I ate toast so he could have his favorite takeout. When he told me about this cruise months ago, he said, "Ma, it's for all of us. You deserve it more than anyone." I believed him. I even helped. I babysat their kids for free so they could save for the trip. I lent them money when the car broke down. I thought we were a team. The first tiny sign that something was off came when I saw the cruise confirmation email pop up on the family laptop. I was printing a recipe and the screen flashed. "Thank you for booking your balcony suite, Marcus Reed." I clicked it before it disappeared. There it was, 2 guests, 2, not 3. My stomach dropped. I heard Tasha's heels in the hallway and closed the window fast. "Everything okay, Mom?" she asked. "Just looking at chicken recipes," I said. She watched me a second too long, then smiled that fake sweet smile. "You're a lifesaver." That night I lay awake and stared at the ceiling. 2 guests, not 3. They had already cut me out months ago, long before the no money speech. I replayed every favor, every babysitting night, every "we're broke, Mom" call. Slowly, something inside me cooled and hardened. "You want cruel?" I thought. "You want no money? Okay." The next day, while Tasha was at work and Marcus was at the gym, I called the cruise line. I used the number in the email. "Ma'am, do you have the booking number?" the woman asked. "Oh, I sure do," I said, reading it off my little sticky note. "I'm Marcus Reed's mother." I found out everything in 10 minutes. Their cabin type, their boarding time, the price they paid. I also found out something else. My name was once on that reservation and had been removed. The agent said it so casually, she didn't know she'd set my whole world on fire. "Yes, ma'am, the 3rd guest was canceled 3 weeks ago. Refund issued to the same card." 3 weeks ago, Tasha hugged me in my kitchen and said, "We're still trying to make the numbers work, Mom, don't worry." I hung up the phone with a calm "Thank you, sweetheart." Then I sat very still at my tiny table, staring at the wood grain. They took my spot, they took my money, they lied to my face. By the time boarding day came, the hurt had turned into something else, a cold, sharp plan. The kind of plan you make when you're done being the nice old lady and ready to be the storm. So when they rolled their suitcases up the ramp, laughing, thinking I was at home watching TV, I was already on the upper deck of that ship, sitting by the rail with a hot cup of coffee in my hand. They just didn't know the real surprise was still waiting below the surface. When the ship horn blew, the whole pier shook. People cheered, kids waved little paper flags, suitcases rattled over the metal ramp. From my chair on the upper deck, I watched them all like I was watching a movie. Then I saw them. Marcus in his new polo shirt, chest puffed out. Tasha in a tight white dress and big sunglasses, rolling her shiny suitcase like she was the star of the trip. They walked up the ramp laughing. She pointed at the ship and he kissed her cheek. I took a slow sip of my coffee and waited. They stepped onto the deck, still looking around like tourists. Tasha was busy taking a selfie. Marcus turned his head and froze, his eyes widened, the smile died on his face. "Ma," he whispered. I lifted my cup a little like a tiny toast. "Morning, baby," I called. "Beautiful day for a cruise, huh?" Tasha spun around. The way her face twisted when she saw me, you'd think she'd just spotted a ghost. Her sunglasses slid down her nose. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. I stood up slowly, letting my joints crack on purpose so I looked even older, even softer. "Well now," I said, "it looks like I'm going on vacation." Marcus hurried over, dragging his suitcase. "Ma, how did you?" He looked scared, not confused. Scared, that told me everything. He knew exactly what he'd done. "I booked my own ticket," I said calmly. "Didn't want to be a burden, remember? No money, stay home, and all that." A couple walking past turned their heads at that line. Tasha shot them a quick fake smile, then grabbed Marcus's arm and pulled him a step away like I was a problem to move out of the way. "You can't just show up here," she hissed. "Everything is planned. The cabin, the dining, the excursions, this is not for you." I tilted my head. "Sweetheart, I paid for my cabin with my own card. I got my own room. I'm not asking you for anything." That part was true. I had gone down to the bank 2 days after that phone call with the cruise line. I checked my savings, the one account they didn't know about. All those years of putting away $5 here, $10 there. I walked out of that bank with a new travel card and a quiet smile. I also printed something before I left, a copy of the original booking with my name on it, and the cancellation notice with the refund going back to Marcus's card. Those papers were folded neat in a plastic folder sitting in my cabin safe. Marcus ran a hand over his face. "Ma, you should have told us you were coming." "I thought surprises were fun," I said. "Isn't that what you two like?" Tasha's jaw clenched. "This is going to make everything awkward." "Oh, don't worry about me," I replied. "You enjoy your fancy dinners, I'll just wander around, breathe the sea air." "Old people stuff?" Again, a few heads turned. People pretended not to stare, but they were listening. That's the lovely thing about ships, nothing stays private for long. A crew member came over, smiling like he was born to welcome rich people. "Mr. and Mrs. Reed, we're so happy to have you aboard, and you must be Mrs. Reed's mother," he asked me. "Marcus's mother," I corrected gently. "Traveling alone." He nodded. "We have your keycards ready." "Your cabin, ma'am, is on deck 9, balcony with an ocean view, very nice choice." I watched Tasha's eyes flicker. Their cabin was on deck 7, I knew that already. I had paid just to be higher than them, petty, maybe, but it felt good. "Deck 9, Marcus repeated. "You got a balcony cabin?" "Yes, baby," I smiled sweetly. "I used my own money, didn't want to be a burden to you too." The crew member handed me my keycard. It felt like a little piece of power in my palm. He also handed me a welcome envelope with my name printed in bold, Evelyn Reed. Tasha's nose wrinkled when she saw it. She looked from my card to Marcus, eyes sharp. I could almost hear her thinking, she's not supposed to have money. "Anyway," I said, slipping the card into my pocket, "I'll let you two lovebirds enjoy your first walk around the ship. Don't mind me. I know how to stay invisible." I turned and walked away before they could answer. I didn't walk fast. I wanted them to watch my back and wonder what exactly I knew. On my way to the elevator, I passed a little sign. "Guest services, deck 5. I glanced at it and smiled to myself. Guest services. The place where people come when their room accounts get locked, their cards get declined, their names get flagged on the system. Marcus might have thought I was just some old lady on a balcony with a coffee. He had no idea I was already planning who would be left begging at that counter by the time this cruise was over. I found my cabin on deck 9 and closed the door behind me. It was small, but it felt like a kingdom because it was mine. White bedspread, little balcony, the sound of the waves hitting the side of the ship. I set my bag on the bed and took out my plastic folder. The papers were still there, crisp and straight. First page, the original booking with 3 guests listed. Second page, the cancellation notice with my name removed, refund going back to Marcus's card. I ran my finger over the numbers and dates. Proof. Quiet, ugly proof. I put the folder in the safe, locked it, and slipped the key on a chain around my neck. Then I went to deck 5. Guest services was busy. People were complaining about luggage, asking about upgrades, waving papers in the air. I waited my turn, leaning on the counter like I had all the time in the world. When it was my turn, a young man with kind eyes smiled at me. "Good afternoon, ma'am. How can I help you today?" he asked. I read his name tag. "Hi, Daniel. I'm Evelyn. This is my first cruise. I just wanted to make sure everything is correct with my account." "Of course." He typed my name and booking number into the computer. "Yes, Mrs. Reed, I see your profile here. You have a separate cabin and your own onboard account. Good, I said. And my son, Marcus Reed, he's on this sailing too. Yes, ma'am, he and his wife are in another cabin. Their charges go to their own card on file. I smiled. So if my card has any problems, it won't touch theirs, right? He shook his head. No, ma'am, totally separate. You're all independent guests. Perfect, I said softly. I leaned in a little. Daniel, can I ask one more thing? I'd like to arrange a special surprise, a family moment. That word made him grin. Like a celebration, we can help with that. Anniversary, birthday? Let's call it a thank you dinner, I said. I want my son and his wife to feel very seen, he chuckled. We can set you up at the captain's table on the second night if you'd like. A special welcome, maybe a few words from the captain about the family. Now that sounded perfect. Yes, that's exactly what I want, I replied. Put the reservation under my name, Evelyn Reed, and please don't tell them I want it to be a surprise. He typed quickly. Done, captain's table, second night for 3. We'll send them a message tomorrow inviting them as your guests. As my guests, the words sat warm in my chest. Thank you, Daniel, I said. You're an angel. On my way out, I walked through the main lobby. Soft music played. People posed for photos with the ship's photographer. And there, by a big round window, I saw them. Marcus and Tasha were sitting in the lounge chairs. Tasha held a drink with a tiny umbrella. Marcus scrolled through his phone. Their suitcases were gone, their room was ready. They looked relaxed, happy, like the world belonged to them. I stayed behind a big pillar and listened. I still can't believe she showed up, Tasha said, rolling her eyes. This was supposed to be our trip, Marcus sighed. She said she paid for herself, just ignore her, babe. She'll wander around, play bingo, then go to bed early, old people stuff. She better not tell anyone we left her at home, Tasha muttered. That story makes us look bad. Well, we did, Marcus said quietly. Yeah, but she doesn't have to run her mouth anyway, she doesn't have proof. Tasha took a long sip of her drink. You deleted the emails, right? Yeah, he said. Relax. He thought deleting an email could erase what they did. Poor boy, he had no idea I had paper copies locked up 2 decks above him. Tasha laughed. Whatever, as long as she stays out of our way, this is going to be the best week ever. Spa, jewelry store, casino, I'm going to swipe that card until it cries. Marcus chuckled. You know my limit. Then you better raise it, she snapped, but in a fake flirty tone. Your mom already gave us enough money this year. It's about time it actually benefits me. My hands curled into fists at my sides. Enough money this year, loans I called gifts. Help I gave them when they cried poor, all of it just points on her scoreboard. I took a slow breath and walked away before I marched over there and smashed her little umbrella glass over her perfect hair. No, not yet, not like that. Cruel doesn't mean loud. Sometimes the cruelest knife is the one you don't see until it's already inside. Later that evening, back in my cabin, I opened the safe and pulled out the papers again. I added one more thing to the folder. A small notebook I had started at home. Every loan, every emergency, dates, amounts, little notes like rent short again and car repair and school shoes for the kids. It looked thin. But when you added the numbers, it was a heavy book. I clicked my pen and wrote one more line at the bottom of the last page. Cruise ticket promised as a gift taken back behind my back. Then I underlined it 3 times. Captain's table, I whispered to myself, staring at the words. You two want to play rich and clean in front of strangers? I smiled to the empty room. Fine, I'll bring the bill and the truth to the table with me. And they still had no idea they were the main show. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the ship and the soft slap of waves against the hull. I stood on the balcony, wrapped in the thin white robe they gave us, and watched the sky go from dark blue to pink. Some people might pray at a moment like that, I planned. After breakfast, I went to the coffee bar on the main deck. I picked a table right where I could see everyone walking past. I knew Marcus and Tasha would come by. People like them always need a crowd. I didn't wait long. Tasha showed up in a big floppy hat and a bright dress like she was walking into a commercial. Marcus walked beside her, looking a little less sure today. His eyes kept scanning the area until he saw me. There she is, he muttered. Tasha's smile was tight. Let's get this over with. They came to my table. I didn't stand. I just took a slow sip of my coffee and looked up at them like they were strangers. Morning, I said. Marcus sat down. Tasha stayed standing for a second, then sat too, crossing her legs hard. Ma, Marcus started, we need to talk about yesterday. I raised my eyebrows. About me being on the ship I was promised months ago? Tasha gave a sharp laugh. No one promised you anything, you must have misunderstood. That word, misunderstood, I'd heard it 1,000 times in my life. It's what people say when they are trying to make you doubt your own mind. That's so, I said. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I scrolled a second, then turned the screen toward Marcus. There it was, a text from him from 6 months ago. Ma, we're booking the cruise for all of us. You, me, and Tasha. You deserve this more than anyone. He stared at the screen, his ears got red. Ma, that was before, he mumbled. Things changed, money got tight, you know that. Tasha leaned over to look, then rolled her eyes. It was just talk. Plans change, we never confirmed anything with you, you're making a big drama over nothing. I took my phone back and slid it into my pocket. So I'm crazy, I said quietly. Is that the story? I didn't say that, Marcus replied, but his voice was weak. You don't have to say it, I answered. I can hear it just fine. Tasha sighed, loud and fake. Look, you're here now, isn't that what you wanted? Why can't you just enjoy yourself and not make us look bad in front of everyone? There it was, the real fear, not my hurt, not my money, their image. Make you look bad, I repeated. Who said anything in front of anyone? She stared at me, trying to read my face. She couldn't, I kept it calm, almost blank. Marcus rubbed his forehead. Ma, please. Don't start telling people we left you behind or stole from you. That's not what happened. I almost laughed out loud. He said the exact words I had never used in public, not yet. Oh, I won't have to say much, I told him. Sometimes the truth walks in on its own 2 feet. They both went quiet. A shadow fell over our table. I looked up and saw a tall man in a white uniform, gold stripes on his shoulders, friendly face, sharp eyes. Mrs. Reed, he asked. Yes, that's me, I said. He smiled. I'm Captain Morales. I just wanted to personally welcome you on board. I hear you've arranged a special dinner with us tomorrow night. I smiled back. Yes, Captain, thank you. I'm very excited. He turned to Marcus and Tasha. And you must be Mr. and Mrs. Reed. We'd be honored to have you at our table as well. It's not every day we get 3 generations together on a voyage like this. Tasha's smile looked glued on. Of course, Captain, that sounds lovely, Marcus swallowed. Yes, sir, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow evening, the captain said. Our staff will send you the details. He walked away. The moment he was gone, Tasha turned on me. What did you tell him? She hissed. That I wanted to thank my son and his wife for all they've done for me, I said softly, and that there's a story behind this trip. You had no right, she started. I cut her off. You said I was making drama, remember? Now you'll get to hear my crazy stories at a nice, fancy table with witnesses. Marcus's voice cracked. Ma, don't, please, this is our vacation. I stood up, pushing my chair in slow and neat. You made your choices months ago, Marcus. I'm just decorating them now. I picked up my cup and walked away, leaving them at the table with their untouched drinks and their scared eyes. They thought the worst thing that could happen was me talking too much. They hadn't even begun to imagine what I had planned for when the whole ship was looking right at them. The day of the captain's dinner, the ship felt like a small town floating on water. Same music, same smells, same faces over and over. That worked in my favor. Stories travel fast in small places. After breakfast, I joined a trivia game in one of the lounges. Not because I cared about trivia, but because I cared about people. I sat with a quiet older couple from Texas and a young honeymoon pair from Chicago. First cruise? The older woman asked me. First and last, I said with a small smile. Came with my son and his wife, thought it would be a family trip. The man looked around. Oh, are they here? Somewhere, I said like it didn't matter. They booked the trip. Then told me there was no money to bring me, so I booked myself. Surprise for them at boarding. The Chicago girl's mouth dropped. They told you there was no money and then came anyway? MHMM. I tapped my pen on the table. Funny thing is, I saw the original booking. My name was on it, then it vanished. Money doesn't disappear, it just changes pockets. I didn't raise my voice, I never said their names, I never pointed at them, but people are smart. They can put pieces together. By the end of the game, I had the older couple clucking their tongues and the honeymooners whispering to each other. Not angry, just shocked. That was enough. Shock grows into judgment all by itself. Later, I walked by the pool. There they were, Marcus and Tasha stretched out on lounge chairs. She wore a tiny bikini and huge sunglasses. He had a drink in his hand. "Babe, I want that diamond bracelet from the shop downstairs," she said. "The one with the blue stones, it's perfect for me," Marcus sighed. "We're already close to the credit limit." "Then call the bank," she said. "I am not going home without something to show for this." I slowed just enough to hear that, then kept going. I didn't speak to them. I wanted them relaxed. I wanted her greedy and loud. I wanted people to see her clearly before the show. Around lunch, I stopped by guest services again. Daniel was there. "Everything set for tonight?" I asked. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "Captain's table at 7, you, your son, and his wife. The captain asked if you'd like to say a few words about your family. He likes little stories." My lips curled. "Oh, I have a story," I said. "I'll keep it short, clear and short." He laughed. "Those are the best kind." I went back to my cabin and took out the folder again. I added one more thing, a small photo. It was old and a little bent. Marcus at 10 years old, standing in front of a cheap motel pool. I was behind him, in a uniform, my name tag pinned crooked. We had taken that photo on a night I snuck him into the pool after my shift because we couldn't afford a real vacation. I slipped the photo in front of the papers so it would be the first thing I saw when I opened the folder. Then I changed for dinner. I put on my best dress. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and dark blue and fit me well. I did my hair slow, put on a little lipstick. I wanted to look like what I really was, not weak, not poor, not crazy. By 6:30, I was standing outside the dining room. Other guests arrived in shiny shoes and glittering dresses. I saw the Texas couple, I saw the Chicago honeymooners, they waved at me. "Evelyn," the older woman called. "You're at the captain's table, right?" "Yes, ma'am," I said, "with my son and his wife." Her eyes softened. "Bless your heart?" I just smiled. Blessing had nothing to do with tonight. At 6:45, Marcus and Tasha came around the corner. He wore a button-up shirt. She wore a tight red dress and new earrings that sparkled under the lights. I wondered briefly whose card had screamed for those earrings. When Tasha saw me, she pasted on a big fake smile. "Oh, Mom, you look nice." "You too," I said. "Red suits you. Easy to spot from a distance." Marcus shoved his hands in his pockets. "Ma, listen, about tonight, maybe you don't have to say anything big, okay? Just thank the captain, keep it light." "You worried I'll embarrass you?" I asked. He shifted. "I just want us to have a peaceful dinner." I tapped my finger on my folder tucked under my arm. "Peace is for people who tell the truth, Marcus. You chose something else." Before he could answer, a crew member opened the door and smiled. "Captain's table, right this way." We walked into the bright dining room. They thought they were walking into a fancy dinner. They had no idea they were actually walking into their own slow burning. The captain's table was in the center of the dining room under a big crystal light. The plates were white and heavy. The silverware shined like mirrors. People at other tables kept glancing over. This was the fancy spot. Perfect. Captain Morale stood when we came in. "Mrs. Reed," he said, pulling out a chair for me, "please sit here by me." I sat at his right side. Marcus and Tasha were placed across from us. That alone was a small cut. I saw it land. Tasha wanted this special seat. She got the view instead. A few other guests joined the table. I recognized the Texas couple. The Chicago honeymooners, a quiet man in a suit, a friendly woman with a camera around her neck. "This is a lovely group," the captain said. "Nothing better than stories at sea, right?" My heart beat calm and slow. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't shy. I was ready. We started with small talk. "Where are you from? First cruise. How's the food?" Tasha laughed too loud at every joke. Marcus kept looking at my folder like it was a loaded gun. Then, after the main course, the captain tapped his glass with a spoon. The room quieted a little, not fully, but enough. "I like to ask one guest at my table," he said, "to share why this trip is special to them." Tonight, Mrs. Evelyn Reed agreed to share a little story. All eyes turned to me. I opened my folder just a little and slid the old photo out. I held it up so everyone nearby could see. "This is my son," I said. "He was 10 here. We didn't have money for vacations. I was cleaning rooms at a cheap motel, so one night I snuck him into the pool after my shift. I told him, one day, baby, we'll go on a real trip on a big ship." You'll look out at the ocean and feel like a king. The Texas woman's eyes filled with tears. The Chicago girl smiled soft. Marcus stared at the tablecloth. Last year, I went on, my son told me, Ma, we're booking a cruise for all of us. You, me, and my wife, you deserve this more than anyone. I took out my phone and turned the screen to the captain. Here is the text, I said. He leaned over, read it, and nodded. Very clear, he said. I babysat their kids for free so they could save, I continued. I sent money when they said they were short. I dreamed about this ship. I watched videos of it at night before bed. I flipped to the printed email. Then one day I saw the booking by accident, 3 guests, my name on it. I tapped the page. Here, I laid it on the table. The guests near me leaned in. The captain's eyes moved fast across the print. Later, I said, I was told there's no money, stay home. I was told I was too expensive, that they couldn't afford to bring me. The room around us grew quieter. People at nearby tables slowed their forks. I flipped to the second page. So imagine my surprise when I called the cruise line and they told me this. I tapped the paper, my name removed, my spot canceled, refund sent back to my son's card 3 weeks before they told me there was no money. I let the words land. The Texas man whispered, Lord have mercy. Tasha's face was stone. Marcus's hands shook on his napkin. That's not the whole story, Tasha burst out. She's leaving things out. She offered the money, she's mixing things up. She's old, she gets confused. I turned my head slowly and looked right at her. My voice stayed calm. I may be old, I said, but numbers and lies still hurt the same way. Marcus suddenly slammed his palm on the table. The plates jumped, people gasped. Why are you doing this? He shouted. His voice cracked through the room. Why, Ma, why do you have to make everything about you? We bring you on this ship and you still play the victim. Every head in the room snapped toward us now. Music kept playing, but softer, like it knew to step back. You didn't bring me, I said quietly. I brought myself. You always twist things, he yelled. We help you, we drive you places, we include you in our lives. And you come here and make us look like monsters in front of strangers? What is wrong with you? That's when the captain's hand came down on the table. Not hard, but firm. Mr. Reed, he said, voice low but sharp, you will lower your voice at once. Marcus froze, his chest rose and fell fast, his face was red. The captain turned his body toward him. The gold on his shoulders caught the light. On this ship, he said, we do not shout at elderly guests at my table, especially not a woman who, from what I can see here, he tapped the papers, has carried you far longer than this ship has. The whole table held its breath. He picked up the printed emails, looked at them again, then looked at Marcus and Tasha. Is this information correct? He asked. Tasha opened her mouth, then closed it. Marcus swallowed. It's complicated, he muttered. It looks simple enough, the captain replied. You promised your mother a place. You took her money, then you removed her and lied. She still came on her own, and now you shout at her for telling the truth. He slid the papers back toward me like he was handing me a crown. Mrs. Reed, he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, as far as this ship is concerned, you are our honored guest. If any part of your money helped pay for their pleasure while you were told to stay home, say the word, and we will treat every luxury on their cabin as theirs to face alone. You owe them nothing, they owe you everything. The words hit like a hammer. Marcus's legs gave out. He dropped down beside his chair, knees hitting the carpet. His hands grabbed the edge of the table like he was drowning. Ma, please, he choked. Please don't do this, don't let them do this. I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry. Tasha slid off her chair too, more from shock than guilt. She ended up on her knees next to him, clutching his arm, eyes wide at all the eyes on them. They weren't kneeling out of love. They were kneeling because for the first time they were the ones with no ground under them. I looked down at them, my hands still folded on the white tablecloth. Their begging was sweet, but my revenge was nowhere near finished. Dinner didn't stop just because my son fell to his knees. The waiters still brought dessert. The music kept playing. People tried to go back to their plates, but their eyes kept sliding to our table. They had seen enough to know who was who. Marcus slowly pulled himself back into his chair. Tasha did too, her hands shaking as she fixed her hair and wiped at her mascara. Ma, he whispered, voice thick, please, can we talk somewhere private? I dabbed my mouth with my napkin like nothing big had happened. We just did talk, I said. For years, it was just me listening. This time, other people heard it too. Tasha leaned forward, her smile gone. You made us look like trash in front of everyone, she hissed. You embarrassed your own son. I looked at her earrings. They sparkled under the lights. No, I said calmly. I just pulled the sheet off the trash. I didn't put it there. The captain cleared his throat gently. Mrs. Reed, he said, if at any time you feel unsafe or disrespected, you come to me or guest services. We will make sure your voyage stays comfortable. I appreciate that, Captain, I replied, loud enough for the table to hear. I feel quite fine right now, for the first time in a long time. The Texas woman spoke up. You shouldn't have had to pay your own way, she told me softly. Not after what you've done for him. The Chicago girl nodded. My mom would never let me forget it if I did something like that to her, and she'd be right. Their words floated across the table like little knives, not aimed at me, aimed at them. Marcus kept his eyes on his plate. Tasha stared at the tablecloth, jaw tight. After dessert, the captain stood. Thank you all for joining me, he said. Mrs. Reed, it has been an honor. He offered me his arm as I stood. I took it. Let them watch that. As we walked away from the table, I could feel their eyes on my back. Not just Marcus and Tasha, everyone nearby. You could almost hear the story spreading from mouth to mouth. Can I ask you something, Captain? I said quietly as we reached the door. Of course, he replied. If my son and his wife cause any trouble with my name or say I'm unstable, I'd like it noted that I provided clear proof tonight. He nodded. Understood. I'll have a neutral note added to the log, nothing dramatic. Just that a guest presented documentation about a financial family matter. That will protect you if they try to twist the story with us. Good, I said. I don't need the law, I just need records. He smiled. You're a very sharp woman, Mrs. Reed. I had to be, I answered. No one was ever lining up to protect me before. I went back to my cabin, took off my shoes, and sat on the bed. The ship rocked gently. I opened my folder one more time, smoothed the papers, and smiled. Humiliation was step one. I still had more steps. The next morning, things had changed. At breakfast, I walked into the buffet and saw Marcus and Tasha sitting alone at a table. People walked past them, whispering. No one sat near them. The Texas couple waved me over to their table instead. Evelyn, over here, the older woman called. I went to them. As I sat, I caught Tasha's eye. She looked away fast. We saw them at the omelet station, the Texas man muttered. Not a good morning from either of them. Just cold looks. That's all right, I said. Cold is better than fake warm. The Chicago girl leaned in from the next table. People were talking at the bar last night, she whispered. Word spread fast. Folks don't like seeing a mom treated like that. Good, let the ship do half my work for me. After breakfast, I walked to the jewelry store on deck 6. Glass cases sparkled with rings, watches, and bracelets. There in the middle was the diamond bracelet with blue stones. The same one Tasha wanted. A young salesman came over. Good morning, ma'am. Anything catch your eye? I pointed at the bracelet. That one. I want it. Excellent choice, he said, taking it out carefully. It's very popular. I'm sure, I replied. But listen close, sweetheart. I want to pay for it now, full price. Put it on my account. Then I want you to put it back in the case with a reserved note. He blinked. Reserved for you, ma'am? Yes, but don't write my name on the note, just reserved. If a tall woman with long dark hair, big sunglasses, and a sharp tongue comes in asking for it, he tried not to laugh. We see a few of those, ma'am. This one will be loud, I said. She'll talk about a blue bracelet being perfect for me and act like she owns the ship. When she tries to buy it, you tell her it's already reserved and paid for. You don't have to say for who, just tell her it's taken. He hid his smile behind his hand. You sure that won't cause problems? I looked him in the eye. Sweetheart, the problems were already here long before this cruise. I'm just putting name tags on them. He nodded slowly. All right, ma'am, if you'd like to pay, I'll set it up exactly like you said. I handed over my card. It stung a little to spend that much money. But the sting felt good, like ripping off an old bandage and seeing clean skin underneath. He wrapped the bracelet in a velvet box and slid it into a small bag. Would you like to wear it now? He asked. Not yet, I said. Leave it with you for now. I'll pick it up tonight before the formal event. As I walked out, I glanced over my shoulder at the glass case. The bracelet glittered under the lights, now with a little white card in front of it. Reserved. I smiled. Let her march in here and learn that even the shiny things she thinks belong to her can belong to someone else now. And that someone is the woman she thought would be sitting at home, alone on the couch. I didn't have to wait long for the show. By afternoon, the ship was buzzing. People shopped, took photos, laughed in the halls. I sat on a little bench across from the jewelry store, pretending to study the daily schedule. Then I saw her. Tasha came strutting down the hallway with Marcus a step behind her. She stopped in front of the jewelry store, pressed her hands to the glass, and smiled. "There it is," she said. "My bracelet." Marcus rubbed his neck. "Are you sure? It looked expensive." She rolled her eyes. "We're on vacation. I am not going home with bare wrists." They walked inside. I stayed where I was, flipping the paper, listening. Through the open door, I heard her voice. "Hi, I want to try that diamond bracelet with the blue stones, the one in the center." A pause. "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am," the salesman said. "That one is reserved and already paid for." Her voice sharpened. "Reserved for who? I'm not allowed to share guest names," he replied. "But it's fully paid, it's no longer available." "Do you know who I am?" she snapped. "I've been eyeing that bracelet since we got on this ship. My husband will pay full price right now." "I understand," he said, "but it's already sold." There was a small crowd in the store now. People pretended to browse but were watching. "This is ridiculous," she said. "Fine. I want to see the manager." Marcus whispered. "Babe, calm down, we can pick something else." "No," she hissed. "I want that one, it's perfect for me." I smiled down at the schedule so they wouldn't see my face if they glanced out. The manager came over, repeated the same thing: reserved, paid, not available. "Incredible," Tasha muttered. "Everything I want on this trip gets snatched away." I got up and walked slowly past the door, just slow enough for the salesman to see me. He gave me a tiny nod. I didn't stop, not yet. I wanted her to stew. Later, near evening, I came back. The store was quiet. The bracelet was gone from the case. "Good evening, Mrs. Reed," the salesman said. "Ready to take it now?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said. "I think I'll wear it tonight." He handed me the velvet box. I opened it right there. The bracelet sparkled like cold water under bright sun. He helped fasten it around my wrist. "Looks like it was made for you," he said. "That's the thing about some gifts," I replied. "They find the right person in the end." I wore it out of the store, letting it catch every light as I walked. If Tasha saw it later, she'd know exactly which bracelet it was. That thought tasted better than any dessert on that ship. Back in my cabin, I sat on the bed and took out my phone. I opened my banking app. There it was. The credit card Marcus used for emergencies years ago. The card I opened. The card I added him to as an authorized user. The same card he now used like it was his alone. I tapped the account. My name was still first. Mine. I stared at the balance, the limit, the last payments. I thought about every time he said, "Ma, I'll pay it back, I promise," and never did. Then I clicked the little button that said, "Change limit." I dragged the number down. Not all the way to zero, just low enough that one more big swipe, like a fancy purchase or casino night, would slam into a wall. I hit confirm. Then I called the bank from the ship phone just to be extra sure. "Hello, Mrs. Reed," the woman on the line said. "How can we help you today?" "I just lowered the limit on my card," I said. "I want to make sure that any large new charges are blocked." "Yes, ma'am," she replied. "I see the change. Any charge above your new limit will be declined." "And if someone calls complaining?" I asked. "An authorized user? Only you can change this account, Mrs. Reed," she said. "It's in your name." "Perfect," I said. "Leave it just like that?" I hung up and looked at my reflection in the small cabin mirror. There I was, old-faced, tired eyes, thin mouth, and a bright, expensive bracelet on my wrist. For years, they thought I was easy to use. Tonight, they were going to learn how it feels when the well runs dry at the worst possible moment. Later, after dinner, the ship held a casino night special in the lounge. Big sign, bright lights, free drinks if you played enough. I didn't go in, I just stood near the entrance, sipping my tea, watching. Marcus and Tasha walked up, dressed sharp. Tasha's eyes went straight to my bracelet. She froze for half a second. "That's a nice bracelet," she said slowly. "Thank you," I said. "I saw it in the case and thought that one's perfect for me." Her jaw tightened. She turned away fast. "Come on, babe," she said to Marcus. "Let's win something tonight." They went in. I waited. An hour later, I heard voices from inside, not happy ones. "I don't understand," Tasha was saying. "Run it again." A dealer's voice, calm and bored. I'm sorry, ma'am, your card has been declined. For the third time? Marcus's voice, low and angry. That doesn't make any sense, it was fine yesterday. You'll need to visit guest services, the dealer said. They can explain the issue. I took one last sip of my tea and set the cup down. Guest services again? Looked like it was time for my son to feel what it's like to stand at that counter with his pockets suddenly empty. And this time, I wasn't going to be the one bailing him out. I didn't rush to guest services. I took my time, walking slowly down the hallway, letting the ship rock me side to side. By the time I got there, the line was already formed. And there they were. Marcus and Tasha stood at the front, talking to Daniel. Tasha's arms were crossed tight. Marcus's shoulders were hunched. I stayed back just close enough to hear. I don't understand, Marcus was saying. This card pays our cabin, it worked before. Daniel's voice stayed calm. I'm sorry, sir, but the last charge was declined. The account limit was changed by the primary holder. You'll need another card or cash for any extra charges from now on. Primary holder? Tasha repeated. He's the one using it? Daniel shook his head gently. No, ma'am, your mother-in-law is the primary, your husband is an authorized user. Tasha blinked. You mean his mommy still owns the card? People in line behind them shifted, listening. Marcus rubbed his forehead. Can't you just push it through? He asked. We're on a ship, it's not like we can run to the bank. I can't override your bank, Daniel said. We can let your basic meals and cabin stand. But spa, casino, shops, those need a working payment on file. Right now you don't have one. Tasha spun around and saw me in line. Of course she did, I didn't hide. You, she said, pointing, you did this. I raised my eyebrows. I lowered my own limit, I answered. I got tired of paying for other people's fun. Marcus stepped away from the counter and walked toward me. His face looked older than it had at the start of the trip. Ma, please, he said. They're saying we can't charge anything. No more drinks, no spa, no souvenirs for the kids. We'll look like broke jokes on a ship full of rich people. You told me there was no money for me, I said quietly. Now you know what that feels like. His voice dropped. Just raise the limit back until the end of the week. I swear I'll pay you back. I tilted my head. You swore that a lot. Please, he whispered. Tasha is freaking out. People are staring. Don't do this. I stepped out of the line and walked right up to him. I kept my voice calm and soft, the way a nurse talks before she injects something that burns. You want me to fix it? I asked. Yes, he said, just for now. Then you do something for me, I replied, right here. Right now, his eyes searched my face. What? I turned to Daniel. Can I borrow a pen and paper? I asked. He handed me a blank form and a pen. I placed it on the counter and slid it toward Marcus. Write this, I said. In your own words. I took money from my mother, I cut her from this trip and lied to her. I used her card as if it was mine. I am not a victim, I am the one who used her. Sign it, today's date. His mouth opened. Ma, come on. Not here. Yes, I said. Here, you like taking things from me in quiet. If you want my help now, you admit what you did in front of somebody who can read. People in line were flat out staring now. No one even pretended not to. Tasha grabbed his arm. Don't you dare, she hissed. You're not going to humiliate us like this. I shrugged. Then enjoy your dry cruise, no spa, no casino. No shiny things. Daniel shifted awkwardly. You don't have to do this, ma'am. I know I don't, I said. I want to. Marcus looked at the form, his hands shook. Slowly he took the pen, he wrote short, uneven lines. He signed his name at the bottom. When he finished, his eyes were wet. I picked up the paper, read it, then handed it to Daniel. Please scan that into our file, I said. So later, if they start saying I'm confused or unstable, you have something to look at before you decide. Daniel nodded, face serious now. Yes, ma'am, I understand. Then I looked at Marcus. I'll raise the limit just enough so you can get home without drama. No more. When we land, the card goes back down and then it's done. Forever, you understand? He nodded, staring at the floor. Yes, Ma. As for spa, casino, and shiny things, I glanced at Tasha. She can learn what no money, stay home feels like even while she's stuck on a boat. Tasha glared at me with pure hate. You're evil, she spat. I smiled a little. Took you long enough to see it. I stepped aside, pulled out my phone, and used the ship's Wi-Fi to raise the limit by a thin slice, enough to cover what was already pending. Enough to keep them from being kicked out of their cabin, nothing more. When I was done, I turned back to Daniel. Try it now, I said. He tapped a few keys, then nodded. Their account is stable again, he said. But limited. Good, I answered. Let them feel the fence. As I walked away, I saw Marcus fold in on himself while Tasha whispered furiously in his ear. They looked small under the bright lights of that desk. That night, I sat alone on my balcony, the bracelet cold on my wrist, the sea black and endless. They thought this cruise would be the week they lived like kings. They didn't know it was only the warm-up for what I had waiting for them back on land. We got back to port on a gray morning. The sky looked tired. So did they. We stood in the long line to get off the ship. People chatted around us about work, flights, kids. Marcus and Tasha stayed quiet. She kept checking her phone. He kept glancing at me, then looking away. Outside at the curb, we waited for our rides. I had ordered my own taxi. I wasn't riding with them. So, Marcus said, shoving his hands in his pockets. We going back to normal now? Normal, I asked. Where you lie, spend my money, and tell people I'm confused, he winced. I said I was sorry. You wrote it, I reminded him. That's not the same thing as fixing it. Tasha stepped in. You got your little show, she snapped. You made us look like trash in front of an entire ship. You wore my bracelet. You froze our fun. What else do you want? I looked her up and down. I want you out of my pockets, I said, and out of my plans. She laughed bitterly. Fine, keep your money. We don't need it. I smiled. You will. My taxi pulled up. I opened the door, then turned back to Marcus. One more thing, I said. Sunday, family dinner at my house. Tell the kids I want them there, and your sister too. We'll talk then. He frowned. What about my last gifts, I said. The ones I waited too long to give. I left them standing on the curb, trying to guess the shape of the hit before it landed. Sunday came. My little house smelled like roast chicken and warm bread. I set the table nice. Not fancy, just careful, real plates, cloth napkins, glasses that matched. My granddaughter ran in first. Grandma, she shouted, hugging my waist. Did you bring us gifts from the big boat? Yes, baby, I said, kissing her hair. I brought you something better than toys. My daughter Lena arrived next. She hugged me tight, her eyes searching my face. You okay, Mom? She asked. You sounded different on the phone. I'm fine, I said. Just done. Marcus and Tasha came last. He looked nervous. She looked angry. They sat down like they were walking into a courtroom. We ate mostly in silence. The kids talked about school and cartoons. I smiled at them, answered their questions about the ship, told them about the giant pool and the funny towel animals. When the plates were mostly empty, I stood up. All right, I said. Time for dessert and truth. I went to my room and came back with my folder. I set it on the table. The kids reached for it. I shook my head. This part is for the grown-ups, I said. I looked at Lena. You stay. You're old enough. Marcus shifted in his chair. Ma, come on, not in front of. I cut him off. In front of the right people, yes. I laid out the papers, the text printout, the emails, the refund notice. The form he signed at guest services. Lena read fast. Her face changed from confused to shocked to hard. Marcus, she whispered. You did this? You told Mom there was no money and then went anyway. He closed his eyes. It got messy. You don't understand? No, she snapped. I do understand. I paid my own way all my life. I never took her money without saying thank you. You took it and cut her out. Tasha opened her mouth. Lena held up a hand. You, Lena said, staring at her, have spent years calling Mom dramatic and too emotional. But all this time you were riding around on her money and lying to her face. The room felt hot. The kids went quiet, feeling the weight in the air. I took a deep breath. Here's what's going to happen now. I pulled out one last paper. A simple printed letter with my shaky signature at the bottom. I went to a lawyer before this trip, I said. Not for court, for my will, for my house, for my savings. Marcus frowned. Ma, you are not getting a penny, I said calmly. No house, no savings, no accounts. When I die, everything I leave will go to your kids, split with your sister's kids. It will go into a trust with Lena as the adult in charge. You will never touch it. His face crumpled. Ma, you can't. I can, I said. And I did. I turned to the kids, softened my voice. This doesn't mean I don't love your daddy, I said. It means I won't feed bad behavior anymore. I'll still buy you school shoes, birthday presents, ice cream, but the big things. The future, that goes straight to you, no stop in your parents' pockets. My granddaughter nodded slowly, not understanding all of it, but feeling that I was on her side. Okay, Grandma, she said. Lena's eyes shone with tears. Mom, are you sure? Yes, I said. I waited my whole life for someone to protect me. Turns out it had to be me. I looked at Marcus. From now on, you don't call me for emergency help. You don't hint, you don't guilt, you don't drop by with sad eyes. You pay your own bills, you take your own trips. If your wife wants shiny things, she can work or do without. Tasha's face was pale. So that's it, she whispered. You're just cutting us off. No, I said, I'm setting you free. Free from my wallet, free from my couch, free from my car. You wanted me out of your plans, now you really have it. Marcus stared at the table, his voice was small. Do you still want to see the kids? I felt my chest pinch, but I kept my voice steady. Yes, I said, but visits will be on my terms. They come to me, you don't use them as tickets to my money. Silence filled the room. Then I closed the folder. That's the end of the story, I said. You can stay for cake or you can go, but the way things were, that's dead now. No one moved for a long second. The kids started talking again, asking about frosting and sprinkles, pulling the air back to normal. Marcus finally whispered, I'm sorry, Ma. I know, I said. I'm just done paying for sorry. I got up, went to the kitchen, and cut the cake with steady hands. For the first time in my life, revenge didn't look like shouting or breaking things. It looked like closing my own door and knowing it will stay shut to the people who treated me like a doormat on their way to the ocean. Watch next, pick a video on screen, and hit subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Comment your name with your city. I will give you a shout out in next video.